What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. Today is gonna be a fun day. Today we are jumping back into the Green Lantern Corps. And if you haven't been keeping up with Green Lantern lately, this is a great spot to jump in. I would recommend going and watching my last video that is covering the Green Lantern Civil War. This is all the aftermath. The Civil War has come to an end. The Green Lantern Corps is finally united once again, but in the aftermath of this great battle, there is still chaos that lurks in the darkness. We saw the emotional spectrum. It went all over the place. And due to this, we are getting many fractures, as they call them, such as the Sorrow Lantern. Quite comically, all the other lanterns referring to this dude as the Emo Lantern. So we have Hal Jordan that is reigniting the lanterns. He's reforming them. The Guardians have returned, but on the precipice of bringing everything back, it could fall apart just as quickly. And if that isn't enough, Hal Jordan is getting offered an old job, offered new employment by the Spectre. For those curious, this will be covering Green Lantern Fractured Spectrum Issue 1, Green Lantern Issue 19 through 23. So make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so our story picks us up at the Library of Forever. Here in this vast place of knowledge, heroes and villains alike, they've made their way here trying to gather information. Today we have Sorrow, the Fractured Lantern. He's made his way here to this girth of knowledge. For Sorrow, the sadness of the universe is too much for him to bear. Sorrow is looking for a glass, one that is round, fractured, one that is used for reading a book. The book that he seeks is the Book of Oa. Now I'm really excited about that because, if I'm not mistaken, Guy Gardner was the last guy to have the Book of Oa. This is what takes us elsewhere. We pick up with the one and only Hal Jordan. And for the first time in a long time, things really aren't that bad. After the war with Thoros, the universe seems to be returning to normal. Things are going good with the Corps. Things are going good with Carol, aka Star Sapphire. Right now, it's all wine and roses. As we see Hal headed off to Oa, this is where he runs into Kilowog. Kilowog, once thought dead, but in fact became a Yellow Lantern. Right now, they are moving their brand new central battery back onto Oa. As we see our lanterns get this thing hooked up, they initialize, the systems turn on, and the Green Lantern battery is back online. And in this, we actually get to see a lot of our lanterns. We see Kelly, which I would still love to explore more of her story. The only lantern that doesn't need a ring or anything of that nature to use the powers. In fact, she was, I would say, extremely important when it came to the Civil War. And then there's JOHN STEWART's manifestation, the living embodiment of will, taking the form of his sister. And then last but not least, we have Jadestone, relinquishing the power of the Star Hearts. He's got to stay close to the central battery so that he can function. Jadestone tells him that relocating the central battery to this planet, to Oa, is not advisable. But Hal believes that it is necessary. They need the world to see the Green Lanterns are back. What I am curious on, is this a central battery that he was gifted by the Guardians before they died before the Civil War that had been hidden on Earth? Or is this completely separate in a brand new battery? But with Jessica Cruz getting up and giving a speech, the new Guardians behind her, she tells them that everything has changed. The Source Lantern is gone, and with it, the power it provided. The Guardians have returned, but they're no longer directing, they are advising us. The United Planet's in shambles, but they are not without hope, because they have a new battery, a new will, a new chance to rebuild the Lantern Corps. They know this isn't gonna be easy. Fear, rage, hope, compassion, love, greed. Their central batteries are no more. This leaves the emotional spectrum in disarray. They've begun to gather reports of individuals manifesting powers all over the galaxy, untrained and absolutely chaotic. In the midst of this, we are rudely interrupted. Come crashing in, we have Sorrow, and Sorrow immediately goes after Guy Gardner. Grabbing hold of him, he makes Guy feel nothing but sorrow, with him throwing Guy off the ledge. JOHN STEWART catching him. Hal Jordan goes in on Sorrow, and he knows who Sorrow is. Sorrow is the ex-boyfriend of Carol, Nathan Broom. Now, he had been engaged to Carol, and finding out that they kind of broke up and Carol left him, it messed him up pretty bad. And in that moment, the sorrow completely took him over. And Nathan knows that this is not him, that's the problem. He knows he shouldn't be this sad, but soon he's hoping that he's gonna have this fixed. With the Book of Oa in hand, we see him take off, disappearing into the fog. Now Guy is like, holy crap, he has the book. This is when Guy shows them his room, an absolute mess. This is when he goes on to explain that he has a really long-time hobby. Around the time the Guardians, not these ones but the originals, decided to rewrite the Book of Oa, he had an idea. If they rewrote it once, who's to say they didn't do it before? And so Guy became obsessed with this. He went to the Library of Forever, and he dug around their archives, found obscure alien writings, all sorts of crazy stuff, but he could only get so far without the actual book. So when the Guardians went bye-bye, he finally had his chance. He snuck in, he grabbed the book, replaced it with a fake. Once he read it, what he learned was the Eye of Krona. Now it's mostly conjecture, mostly myth. There's a piece of glass made entirely of source material. When you look at it, when you look at the Book of Oa through it, you see that it wasn't written just one way, but 6 different ways, all in different colors of the spectrum. Now, the Guardians that are there are saying that they're not the same as before, and so any knowledge of this is completely lost to them, though Guy does not buy it for the least. He assumes that this is what that emo lantern was after. He wants the plans to build a new central battery. And if he gets his hands on this, if he's able to do so, it's more than just a problem. The Guardians now advise more than ever before. The Sorrow Lantern is an aberration, a refraction of light. If that refraction were to make a power battery, it would expand sorrow and despair into the universe. It would set off a chain reaction that would fracture the spectrum forever. It would splinter the universe. And because of this, our Green Lantern Corps prepares to head out. Having copies of the pages, they know what is needed to make the power battery. If they can get to the pieces first, they can save the universe from a giant sorrow headache. So he gathers the troops. The Green Lantern Corps is back. This is what jumps us into issue number 19. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we're picking up in Hub City. We have the Justice League along with Star Sapphire. They're all taking on this giant Leviathan type monster. But with Hal Jordan coming in and helping out a little bit, they pull the creature back into the trench. But Green Lantern was showing up to take Star Sapphire out on a date. Batman sees this and thinks this could be a problem. Now Wonder Woman and Superman, they think it's sweet. They think it's cute, it's adorable, let them be happy. But Batman, he sees an underlining issue. As we jump over to the Justice League Watchtower, we pick up with Hal Jordan and Star Sapphire, and I do want to point out a central battery here, possibly the ones that he got from the old Guardians, because the old Guardians told him that we left a lantern on Earth for you in case something ever happened to the Lantern Corps. You would have it, and you would have access to creating more lantern rings. But the two of them are sitting here really discussing everything that's going on. Hal's trying to get her to come along with him, but Star Sapphire, she's not ready to go out into the field like that. She needs more training with the Justice League. As we are jumped over to Oa, we pick up in the Green Lantern's armory. Someone stole one of the United Planets ambassador's rings. In all the chaos, it appears one of the rings slipped up. Being able to gain access to the armory, we see our individual going in and grabbing some equipment. Suiting up, we see that this is in fact Odyssey the Time Bandit. But Odyssey's not necessarily getting too far, because while Odyssey is here getting all of this stuff very quickly, she's met by Kyle Rayner. And Kyle tries to let her know, like, I just want to talk to you. I need you to listen to me. Or we can throw you back into a cell, whichever you choose. He goes on to say that when the source lantern exploded, there was a 0.2 second power surge in the cells. Impossible to predict, impossible to use it as an escape, but somehow Odyssey did. Going on to say that I don't really necessarily want anything from you, but I want to give you a second chance. It's either that or we call the other traveler that you've been avoiding, that he can't believe exists, and let her take care of it. This is what takes us over to Australia. Takes us to a giant hole in the ground. Kyle and Odyssey are here with two of the locals as a giant geyser of water shoots up out of here. From that geyser, we have one of the most absolutely sluttiest drawings of Connor. Our boy Connor coming out of there just dripping wet without a t-shirt. And when he sees Odyssey, he kind of changes his tune. His jaw kind of hits the floor a little bit. Even Kyle's like, dude, close your mouth. Like, okay, listen, we got a potential universal ending problem here. Right now, Green Lantern Corps is light on members. Until they rebuild, he's gonna need some help. So with Connor going over and grabbing his jacket, the three of them head off. This is what takes us to the Castle of the Desolate Stone. We have our mysterious figure that has been hiding in the background this whole time. We have Starbreaker. You know what's crazy to say? Starbreaker came out in like 1970, 1973, somewhere in that time frame. Starbreaker is like 50 years old since his first publication, but he's the mastermind behind everything. He's the one that Sorrow is working for. He is telling Sorrow that we're gonna end your suffering. You get me the book. You get me the Eye of Krona. You get me all the things I need. We make a battery and we fix your ailment. This is where he summons some friends. Opening up a portal, we see that he has formed the Starbreaker Corps. By all appearances, these look like other variants and versions of Starbreaker. This is what takes us to our lanterns. Right now, they are currently on the way to the source wall, as Hal Jordan needs to go check something out. The rest of them are taking the ship and going to the source wall. Right now, Nate is a priority. Any intel that they can get is going to help them out tremendously. So with Hal Jordan taking off and going down to the planet, he starts looking around the streets and he finds that the streets are empty. The streets are empty and this whole village is dead. Thinking that the culprit couldn't have gotten too far, he hears a voice from behind him. He tells him that they deserved it. That they deserved it all. And from behind him, we see a fractured Red Lantern. This is what jumps us over to issue number 20. This shows us how our Red Lantern came upon these powers. We pick up with Arustus, a humble blacksmith, tinkering away at a fine craftsman's sword. But upon making the sword, the man decides that he's not gonna pay for it. Part of his duty is to collect taxes. He is telling him that this is your tax. When he starts heading home for the night, a couple of guys come up with a knife and they try to rob him. They beat the crap out of him. They throw him to the ground. Even though he's got no money, even though he's got nothing, when he gets up, he sees that his girlfriend, his fate partner, is being sleazy and headed off with the dude that just jumped him, with everybody laughing in his face. The rage builds up, the anger comes forth, and a Red Lantern is born. This is where we pick up with him going toe-to-toe with our Green Lantern. Hal knows this guy is out of control, totally taken over by the rage energy. The Guardians had said people might start manifesting different parts of the spectrum, just like Sinestro did, just like Kyle becoming the White Lantern, which, huge bummer, Kyle Rayner not being a White Lantern anymore. Why, guys? Like, why? Keep my man a White Lantern. Give him the White Lantern, keep him the White Lantern. Hal goes on to say that they had the willpower to change themselves back to Green Lanterns. And with Sinestro having the ability to turn himself back into a Yellow Lantern. Hal really doesn't want to hurt this guy because the emotional spectrum is being all crazy. But as he goes to look around, all he finds is more carnage, more death. A message on the guy that took that sword, saying payment due. This is what takes us over to the source wall. Wherever they're supposed to be going is right in front of them. So as they head into the mouth of one of these statues, we see Kyle go all Raiders of the Lost Ark. Straight Indiana Jones up in this. Now, before they head into this temple, Odyssey's like, there's probably some booby traps. Somewhere in this temple is the orb of portable source energy, instrumental in creating a central battery. But assuming that this place is gonna have booby traps, that's where our Superman comes into play. Used as a living decoy, he walks through and he hits all the traps, activates them all. They all bounce off him like it's absolutely nothing. This is what takes us back over to Hal Jordan. Right now, this isn't going well. This rage has completely consumed this guy. Hoping maybe I can wear him out. Help him expend some of this energy. Get him to a place where he might be able to reach him. But we see this rage. It completely takes him over. Hal tries reaching him, but he has no option. He puts up a force field around himself. And our blacksmith, this rage energy, it erupts like a volcano waiting to go off. It erupts, shooting Hal Jordan back. And when Hal goes over, there's nothing left. The rage, it completely consumed him. As we pick up with Kyle and the others, making their way into this facility, grabbing the orb, and trying to hightail it out of here, we see the entire structure begin to crumble, being able to grab this little source orb. They get out of here only to run into Sorrow and Starbreaker. This is what takes us over to issue number 21. We have Kyle, Connor, and Odyssey versus Sorrow and Starbreaker. As they begin to battle, Starbreaker enlarges himself, makes himself an absolute titan. He grabs Superboy, he grabs our Green Lantern in the palm of his hands. He begins to squish them. Now, things don't look like they're going great for them. That, of course, is until Hal Jordan shows up. A surprise attack hitting Starbreaker, knocking his grip loose, telling Kyle and Connor it's time to stop monkeying around. Let's take these losers down. Now, Sorrow is able to get his hands on the source ball. So even though they're able to detain Starbreaker for a moment, he shrinks himself down in size, freeing himself from the grasp, and then they disappear in a cloud of smoke. No one expected Starbreaker to be there. They got caught off by surprise. With this information, they head off to Oa. We got an emo lantern and a space vampire that are trying to build up their own power battery. The emotional spectrum has been the focus through many different central batteries. So the only focal point remaining after everything was Oa's source lantern. After what Jordan told them, anybody can manifest a piece of the spectrum. Without the willpower to control it, it's outright dangerous. The solution to stabilize the emotional spectrum, they need to rebuild the other central power batteries. That if they're able to do so, all of these fractal lanterns, they'll disappear, their powers will go away. Jessica Cruz is letting them know that I need you guys to go into Reach territory. There may be a cache of nth metal there. This is what they are going to use to start their construction. What is left over to get is the source energy, something that Hal Jordan says he'll be able to grab. So with our team headed out, we pick up with Hal Jordan at the Watchtower, meeting up with Mr. Terrific. In passing, he sees Carol, but she's got to head out on a mission. He takes off running close behind, because right now, Mind Bomber is robbing a bank. The two of them get in here and they start handling stuff. They start taking care of this situation really quickly. While they deal with Mind Bomber, they also deal with the DEO. We have Director Bones and Hector Hammond. Just your regular, everyday, notorious, insane supervillain, and sometimes arch nemesis. They're coming in and pretty much saying like, Mind Bomber is ours. We're taking him in. You guys don't have authority. Hal's gut is telling him that something is off. So the two of them, they're gonna go investigate this a little more. Meanwhile, we're at Reach Outpost Omega. Now, the Reach and the Green Lantern Corps, they're not necessarily on the best of terms, but the intel says that they can find the metal here. And when they get inside, what they find is a man that has been chained up, and he is begging for help. As we pick up elsewhere, we have Star Sapphire, Green Lantern, and Dove. Being a friend of Star Sapphire, she brought her along just in case this stuff doesn't necessarily require a lantern or anything of that nature. But before they go in, Hal also lets Star Sapphire know, like, listen, the reason I came to talk to you was because about Nathan. Nathan is Sorrow. Sorrow is trying to rebuild a central battery. I have to stop him. I wanted to know if you wanted to come along. Because right now we're talking about reigniting power batteries. Talking about reigniting the violet power battery. Saying that I think you should be there if we end up doing this. But as Dove gets inside, what we see is Hector Hammond. He has opened up the mind of Mind Bomber. He has begun experimenting on him, using whatever it is inside of him. He is now empowered himself, and that is what takes us over to issue number 22. Hector Hammond fully powered, throwing everything he has at our lanterns, at Dove, and while they battle, he may not be able to control their minds, but his fellow DEO workers, he can control them. This is when Hal hits him with everything he has. Dove shines as bright as she can, and Star Sapphire, she grabs hold of his head, and she infuses his mind with love. Having no idea how long this is gonna last, Hal Jordan hits him and knocks him unconscious. As we head over to the outpost, they're taking this man off the wall. He's telling them that they're gonna be here soon. We have to go. This man's name is Dan Garrett. And many of you may be familiar with who Dan is. The first character to ever identify as Blue Beetle, predating both Ted and Jamie. Finding his origins back in the 1940s. We have our heroes rescuing him. As they rescue, we see the invaders coming at them. As they go to stand and be in defense, we pick up with Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan having a conversation with Director Bones. He's telling them that you guys have illegally entered a government facility and cost the taxpayers money. But Hal's like, listen, dude, I'm gonna stop you right there. Like, I need you to understand something. I'm a Green Lantern, part of the Green Lantern Corps. I patrol Sector 2814. Your authority is right here. My authority is up here. Like, I'm willing to overlook you taking the superpowered being to use them for your own purposes. But under the Guardian Treaty 5264, which the United States government has signed with the Green Lantern Corps, I do have a problem with the extraterrestrials you're smuggling in and out of here. So as of now, you're out of business. Period. End of discussion. Full stop. And then if you don't want to stop, I'll create a rocket ship. I'll ship all of you guys to Oa, and I'll throw you in a cell. That, of course, is unless you're gonna help me out. So when the director asks what you need, Hal Jordan says, I need a key. Taking us back over to the battlefield. We have Dan and Odyssey making their way out of the facility, and they see Connor and Kyle just going to town on some bugs. This is when Dan sees something. He sees the scarab. Seeing it, he grabs hold of it. He says the words. It attaches to his body. And with that, another player enters the battle. Silver Scarab has arrived. This is what takes us to an old little chapel in Ireland. Green Lantern here with the Phantom Stranger, with Zariel. They're here to use this key and open up the doorway. Green Lantern is headed down to hell. But as our lantern makes it down here, they sense something strange. Not really sure what is up, what's going on. They see a light up ahead. As that figure gets closer, they see that this is a fellow Lantern. Green Lantern Gnort is here. And that is what takes us into issue number 23. As we jump into issue number 23, Gnort's asking, what brings you to my sector? Hal Jordan's trying to let him know, like, homie, you're not in your sector. You're not even in space right now. You're in hell. Like, real hell. Like, where bad people go. And he's like, you know what? That actually explains a lot. And he tells Hal Jordan, like, if this is really hell, I'm glad you showed showed up, that he's been down here in hell this whole time with no lantern charge. He thought he just landed on a strange planet. He thought that this was Axiom 4. Everybody's got horns and all kinds of craziness. He assumed that this is what this place was. But our heroes find themselves at a cell door. The cell door of disgust. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, we have our heroes that are on the run, a ship in hot pursuit. If that wasn't enough, they are also being chased down by a giant monster. So while they make their banking maneuvers, they try to make it to safety. Hal Jordan has come to disgust. Hal Jordan is here for that necklace around its neck. Hal said that it could keep it, to keep the light even in this darkness. But things have changed. Hal needs it to save the universe. This was the source energy, wrapped around its neck, tucked away here in hell in this cell. But it reminds him that eternity is for a long time, Hal Jordan. Someone is going to come along, and I'm going to give them everything. I'm going to give them everything for the chance to wipe you from this reality, that you disgust me, and I will have my revenge. As they leave the cell, this is where we have the arrival of God's wrath. The spirit of vengeance. The Spectre has arrived. And Hal, he tells the others, y'all go ahead, I'm gonna handle this situation. Asking what the Spectre wants. He wants Hal Jordan, but Hal tells him straight up, like, dude, I'm not looking for a job. But the Spectre is not asking. This is where he attacks Hal Jordan. Hal tells the others to take the necklace and go. That this is a conversation that has been a long time coming. The Spectre is saying that Jim is gone. He needs a new avatar. Who better than somebody that has already been the avatar before? That we were once one. You did my bidding, you can do it again. But you must say yes, you must act of your own free will. And he tells the Spectre, you want to see will? I will show you the strongest will in the entire universe. Hitting the Spectre, knocking him down to the ground. He tells him, I don't know what's going on with you, but I know the rules. You can't hurt me unless I deserve it, and you can't force me to be your avatar anymore. And he tells him, I'll never say yes again. The Spectre asking, then who? Who could be the avatar? And Hal, he doesn't care. But if somebody does say yes, you better make sure they know everything. What they have to see, what they have to do. The burden is heavy. You'll need somebody that can bear it. And Hal Jordan says that his shoulders are simply too weak. But with our heroes making it back and closing up the doorway to hell, down in the depths of hell, this is where we see something happen. Starbreaker has come to this cell. With the emotional spectrum broken, he can pull at its strands, make this guy into something new. He transforms him into the Lantern of Disgust. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Not a bad story arc thus far. I like that they didn't go immediately to fixing the power batteries. I like that they actually have to go out there, find the material to make these batteries, and put them back together. And these last couple of issues have been loaded up, from Silver Scarab to Starbreaker, to the Spectre showing up and telling Hal Jordan, like, my avatar's gone, I'm gonna make you my new avatar. They have not pulled any punches with this brand new story arc, and I'm 100% here for it, on board, ready to see what happens next. If you guys are curious on what is going on with JOHN STEWART, I am going to be picking up Green Lantern Corps. That is going to be covering the entirety of everything going on with the other lanterns, while Hal and Kyle, they have their little adventures going on here. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your theories. If you want to get caught up on everything that is going on with this series, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It's going to get you completely caught up on everything that has been going on with this series. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership, much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you're unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.